the most acclaimed movie of the year, nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Actor, Best Director, Best Screenplay, and Best Picture of the Year.
That's a bold statement. I'm your twin brother.
Well, obviously. The moment I sat down, I thought I was looking into a mirror. Twins.
We're twins. That's right.
Brain Scan.
It's interactive, dude. You're in the game.
From one of the most gifted directors of our time comes a startling new film that could only happen in one place.
A great work for children, like Huck Finn, for example, tells a child something about reality, about people, about life, about growing up. These films try to keep children stupid children forever, and that, I think, is wrong.
Gene Siskel, Roger Ebert, if you would like to remove the dagger from between your ribs and strike back, have at it.
Whether the disagreements we have on our show are for real, and I can promise you that they are absolutely for real. And one of the greatest pleasures of doing the program is to get into a fight with Gene about a movie we both have really strong feelings about.
The problem is bathroom humor, Gene.
And it's very funny.
Humor.
It's very funny.
It's not that. If you think it's funny, then maybe you need to grow up along with Eddie Murphy.
Oh, Roger,
you can both go to Richard Pryor and learn how to be a little more mature.
Let me tell you, it is very, very funny.
I mean, I'm not playing to the audience, and I'm not saying it should be cleaned. I have nothing against four-letter language. Right. I love it when Richard Pryor uses it. Richard Pryor uses it as poetry. Eddie Murphy uses it as a bludgeon.
She comes to that camp naive, and she grows up at the end of the film.
And that's a cliche, Gene. That's a cliche.
Not the way she plays it. For it. Not the way she plays it.
Just all by the numbers.
Not the way she plays
all by the numbers. The dancing is good. The plot.
She's good. Tell me she's that good.
She's okay. What about the wonderful dialogue and the nice little plays on words and the way
what about the excessive fighting? What about the excessive
fighting? This is the world that they're talking about here. Nevertheless,
reconsider your vote.
I won't reconsider my vote. Nevertheless, I felt that just on the bottom line it was worth recommending.
Because he wants to set you up. He's a director. And he wants to play you like all the directors, the great directors want to do. He wants to play you like a piano, which is have you smile and swing you right into some depression.
Yeah, well, I think if somebody wants to play me like a piano, he better get some music that's worth listening to.
There are no people there with whom you can sympathize.
That just isn't my experience in seeing it again with a whole bunch of kids. They were able to sort out who was who very easily. They had no trouble with this picture, understanding what was going on. I got to ask Mr. Simon a question. Here's sort of a test question. Wasn't your heart warmed even a little bit by Yoda?
I'll tell you what, we're in a bit of a tough technical situation here because Mr. Simon just lost his earpiece.
walk down to the front, turn around, and look at the light from the screen reflected on the upturned faces of the members of the audience.
Something special, filmed in the huge IMAX process. Big pieces of film projected on curved screens that measure up to 5 and 6 stories high and as wide as well. The combination of an enormous field of vision and yet incredible detail. Together, that's stunning. Picture is so big that you get an immediacy that I really haven't felt in other concert films before. I think the Stones have gotten here first. I think that you're right. Every rock band in the world is going to be jealous, and they're going to want to do this too. You know what I feel bad about? I feel bad about our own show. I mean, the show that we're doing right now, because we must come off as dry or repetitive. It's not us. It's not us who are. It's not Hollywood we who are repetitive. Hollywood is.
You got it. Okay, when we come back.
The ethnic stereotyping is appalling. Yes. It's embarrassing. You feel unclean as you're sitting there. It's junk. First class junk. To see it, and again, losing the time. It is a depressing experience. I think that's what's shocking. Here it is, got big comedy stars in there, and you sit there, no laughs, and then the mood of the film, the look of it is dark, dank, and just unpleasant.
It's just really ugly. You know, I had a strange experience. I saw this movie on Tuesday night in a theater that was almost empty. But way in the back, there were 3 teenagers who were making a lot of noise. A lot of noise. I don't mean talking loudly among themselves. I mean shouting and screaming. And at one point, I turned around and asked them if they could talk a little louder. Down for Scenes from a Mall, the disappointing and pointless marital comedy starring Woody Allen and Bette Midler. 2 more thumbs down, way, way down. Those thumbs are way out of sight for Nothing But Trouble, an all-time turkey. 2 more thumbs down, but more reluctantly, for He Said, She Said, a comedy with good moments, but not enough smarts. 2 more thumbs down for King Ralph, which might have been funnier if John Goodman had played a sleazeball instead of a cuddly nice guy. And finally, 2 more thumbs down for The Field, a tortured allegory worth seeing only for Richard Harris's performance. So, 5 movies, 10 thumbs down.
But you know, I think there's a theme that runs through the American films, the way we knock this. The scripts. Every one of the scripts should have been written a little smarter, a little tougher. They're really going into production with these pictures. I don't think they're in shape.
Gotta have energy up and the movie out.
Why don't you read both parts?
I'd like to.
I know that.
Please read it.
It's Thriller Week on Siskel and Ebert in the movies, and we've got 3 new ones.
And No Way Out. Sound a little excited here.
Sound less excited, Roger. That's why we're redoing it, because of what you did. It's Thriller Week on Siskel and Ebert in the movies, and we've got 3 new ones.
And the movies, not after movies. Michael Caine in The Fourth Protocol. And Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman in No Way Out.
That's this week on Siskel and Ebert and the movie and the Apple. And that's Roger.
Always saw somebody manage to copy and paste a quote from Roger. Well, this is what Roger Ebert said. Oh, he's so out of touch.
The chemicals interacted with the swamp water to make him into the first vegetable superhero.
I'm a plant.
That's okay. I'm a vegetarian.
Or crap like that.
He was the guy that liked a lot of geek stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, it was confusing because a lot of people say, man, this was horrible.
Yeah.
And Roger Ebert would be right there. I tell the story all the time where I remember when I was in high school, they had, what was the swamp, the Return of Swamp Thing?
Return of Swamp Thing.
The thing I like best about Return of Swamp Thing is the reasonable, reserved, and civilized behavior by Swamp Thing himself.
as played by Dick Durock, who truly seems to come from the valley of the gentle green giants. I personally thought that Louis Jourdan should have turned up the voltage on his mad scientist performance. I don't think there's any advantage to being subtle in these roles.
I remember Gene Siskel just sitting up there saying, he almost had this look on his face like, you like this shit? You idiot. Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What happened to you?
Yeah, and then Roger Ebert, his defense was, you didn't like the Mad Scientist Lab?
He realized that. Yeah. So did you like his Mad Scientist Laboratory?
I didn't like him any more than you liked him. You knocked him in the film. I didn't like the swamp thing. I didn't like Jourdan. And then Heather Locklear just walked around with a few clothes on.
We have a disagreement then.
No kidding.
Okay.
And that review just broke down there, and then it sounded like kids. Because Roger Ebert was trying to defend it. And he wasn't talking about the cinematography. He wasn't talking about the mise-en-scene or the acting or the effects, nothing like that. I remember Gene Siskel just sitting up there saying,
"You're mad."
I never felt the same. Take good care of my stepdaughter, please.
Swamp Thing is the good guy in this movie, but there are other monsters out there in that polluted water who only want to maim and kill.
Yeah, he definitely had that kind of geeky mentality where something as ridiculous as a mad scientist lab scene will get him giddy. Gene is like he's being a critic. He's very much he's looking at it as a film, as a piece of art.
I think Gene Siskel sometimes would tell Roger Ebert, like, man, look, I think he's stupid.
Yeah, I know. Well, those are the best, especially when the camera always cut to Gene just looking at him like, you are an idiot. He didn't have to say, he just looked at him like, what the fuck are you talking? What is coming out of your mouth right now? You know? And both those guys managed to do that with their body language and just their facial expression. Just kind of look, because you can totally gauge, like, oh man, I wonder what he's thinking. And when he actually said it, you were like, yes, you know.
Yeah, see, Gene Siskel just always used to look at Roger Ebert like he's stupid fuck.
Yeah. They were the greatest married couple on TV.
His defense was, he didn't like the Mad Scientist Lab?
Didn't you like his Mad Scientist Laboratory?
I didn't like him any more than you liked him. You knocked him in the film.
So we have a disagreement then.
No kidding.
Okay.
Would it kill you to say something?
I did.
No. It's the first thing you've said in the last 4 hours. That's a fountain of conversation, man.
When we did the 500th broadcast of this show, I mentioned that my favorite film of the last 14 years, since Roger and I began doing this show, was Raging Bull. Obviously, it is also my favorite film of this decade. Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull is, of course, the Jake LaMotta story, the boxing story with Robert De Niro playing a human animal.
LaMotta is taking terrible punishment on the ropes as Lucille bangs him left and right to the head. Another left, another right to the jaw. And LaMotta turns around. He's been playing possum. He's got Lucille.
The whole lifestyle is destroyed, especially the drug taking. He believes helicopters are chasing him. Well, they become just as important as the tomato sauce. Now, something's wrong. All the priorities are upside down, and I wanted to give the audience, people in the audience who never had a feeling of paranoia like that, or a feeling of paranoia that was induced by reality or by drugs. I wanted to give them that impression of what it feels like.
It's remarkable that anything can be more important than the tomato sauce.
I would go for the sauce, of course, naturally.
The tide has turned, no question about it.
Shot in beautiful black and white, Raging Bull reaffirms Scorsese as the preeminent filmmaker of our generation. He's using all of his techniques in this picture while still telling us a great street story, finding life among the lowlife.
The first film on my list for 1980s is exactly the same film, Martin Scorsese's Raging Bull, and there was no question in my mind. I think that's kind of amazing that we would be in agreement on that. And
Also, of course, I think it has the best performance of the last 10 years in this remarkable work by Robert De Niro. From beginning to end, Raging Bull is an amazing motion picture.
When I think of that picture, I don't think, oddly enough, of the boxing sequences first. I think of some of those, that lazy, like, weekend afternoon when Jake goes over to try and pick up Vicky at the pool. And I look at those beautiful images, and I think that there's a lot of dreams there. There's something in the colors. It's almost like silky sheets, the white, the color. It's just such a beautiful piece of filmmaking.
It's a film about an entire life. It's a film about the spaces in between the high points. It's a film about the end of that life when Jake LaMotta is running a nightclub down in Florida, and he's out of shape, and he's kind of a figure of jest now instead of being that person who for a second there was great. And it's also about the obsessions that he allows to destroy his life, the jealousy, the insecurity. By the end of that movie, you really feel you know that person.
There isn't anything more I need to know about Jake LaMotta than I got in that film. What an achievement that is.
It's a great film. What we haven't done yet on this show is providing...
It is a great performance, and Fargo is the best movie the Coen brothers have ever made, a quirky, infectious American masterpiece.
Well, you know, last year, back in January, I said I didn't think I'd expect to see a better film all year than Crumb, and I didn't. It was a real good call. You put it second on your list.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make the same call here now in March, because there won't be a better film than this. I mean, this is, you called it a masterpiece. I'll go on a limb and say that too. And I want to even go further and say this, that the Coen brothers, now if you look at Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, and Barton Fink, these guys are creating one fantastic original piece of work every single time. These guys deserve to be known with some of the finest directors that have worked in motion pictures. Spectacular and mystifying special effects, as well as some surprisingly solid acting. This is one terrific action picture. I enjoyed it a lot more than the original. And once again, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a man-like machine sent back from the future to protect a little boy who, if he's allowed to grow up, can save the world from complete and total destruction. The only problem, there's another seemingly more powerful machine also sent back from the future that's out to kill the kid.
Anybody not wearing 2 million sunblock is gonna have a real bad day, get it? You think you're saving alive? You're already dead, everybody. You're dead already.
The little boy, played with convincing energy by Eddie Furlong, has a fresh father-son relationship with Schwarzenegger because sometimes the kid plays the father.
You just can't go around killing people.
Why?
What do you mean, why? Because you can't.
Why? That can change shape and seemingly can't be destroyed. You really have to see this picture to appreciate the special effects involving this guy. When a bullet is shot into him, there's a hole that closes up quickly, slice him apart, closes back up too, blast him into droplets. He comes together like mercury from a broken thermometer. Credit Dennis Muren from Industrial Light and Magic and the Academy Award-winning Stan Winston for the special effects and makeup. They deserve a special Oscar for this picture. Also credit the 4 principal actors. This film has been very well cast. James Cameron, writer-director, played a role in that, I'm sure.
He has this uncanny ability to find just the right note, somewhere between seriousness and humor. There are some laughs in this movie, and they're always laughs with Arnold and not against the character, and they help to lighten a little bit the load of the special effects and of the violence and of the action. And also, one nice touch here, this Terminator has been ordered by the little boy to try not to kill people, which is a little bit of a difference for these special effects pictures.
Well, the other thing is, I want to go into some of the other casting, because Schwarzenegger does what he always does, but, you know, they could have cast a big Dolph Lundgren type as the bad guy here. And they picked this Robert Patrick, and he doesn't have a lot of charisma, but they knew that you cast this sort of slight guy, and he's somehow more lethal because he isn't obviously macho. Linda Hamilton is very good. She's got a neck as big and strong as Schwarzenegger's. She's tough. She isn't made into a sex object, but she's a real presence there, powerful. It's terrific.
That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed. next week, and until then, the balcony is closed. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.